All right. Saints are back on the field. This is gonna be a rough year, but I'm gonna be here every step of the way. Um, yeah, not too many great things to see out of this game. It is the preseason after all, so it's not a ton to say. A lot of backups were playing in this game. Backups were in the game to start on defense, and mainly starters on offense were missing. Outside of Juwan Johnson, the offensive line was the starting offensive line minus Eric McCoy, and then obviously the quarterback battle between Rattler and Shuck. One of them's going to be starting, so this is a competition, so both of them are going to be playing. But let's get just dive right into the game. First quarter, yeah, backups are in the game on defense to start. Chargers work their way past midfield, but that's it. Defense forces a punt. I think the defense played really well to start the game. Um, Minus a couple plays here and there, I thought they played solid. I think the secondary was doing really well. I think we were getting a lot of pressure. The main issue was containing the mobility of Trey Lance. That was the biggest issue for this whole game on defense. And that has to do with the linebackers need to play a little bit more zone, or just have a spy. I mean, when Demario Davis is out there, I'm going to trust him. Pete Warner, same thing. I love them both. I think both of them have the speed to handle mobile quarterbacks. And then this Stutzman guy, Danny Stutzman, I'm pretty sure. Um, I mean, from the tape I've seen, he looks really good. So I'm curious how well he will play. Um, Spencer Rattler started the game for the Saints. Obviously, Rattler started a couple games here and there last year. He showed a lot of potential. Um, he also made some rough decisions. I, at one point last year, I was like, Rattler's not a franchise quarterback type of guy. He has this skill set to be a great quarterback. He has the skill set to be a great quarterback. He's just really he's very raw in his abilities. I think with the right coach, and I don't think that's any on this team, he can be a good quarterback, but he just needs to work on his game right now. I think he's better off being a backup to a veteran quarterback, not being in this situation right now. In fact, this game was kind of the opposite of what I've seen out of Rattler. I mean, we saw Rattler making some crazy plays last year, um, like jumping and throwing and just making insane throws. Now some bonehead throws, but I was like, oh, this is interesting. Like the Packers game, even though it sucked, the Packers game was awful. Rattler made some crazy throws in that game. Um, Yeah, mix of starters. Juwan Johnson was playing. Will Clapp got hurt on the second play. He's officially out for the season. Um, poor offensive line, poor interior offensive line led to a short drive and a penalty. Mainly because Eric McCoy is the best player on this offensive line. I mean, you got a rookie and a sophomore. You got a rookie and a sophomore tackle. So who knows how good they're going to be. Trevor Penning is playing a new position at guard. Penning is hurt now. I don't. He's week to week with his injury. Um, and Cesar Ruiz is when everybody's healthy. Ruiz is a really good guard. Like you put Ruiz on like the best offensive lines in the league and just plug him in at like a weak position, he'll do his job well. But on a bad offensive line, he could be really bad. So he carries the weight of he's just as good as the rest of the offensive line. Um, so when you have a center that's not when Will Clapp got hurt, you got a new man, um, and that's when the interior offensive line just folded. So not only do you not have your starter in there, you don't even have your backup. So which sucks. I was really rooting for Will Clapp. I liked having him here last time, his last stint with the Saints. Saints punt. But Chargers returner Naheem Miller Hines, new last name, he got hyphenated. He muffed the punt, just went right through his hands. And tight end Trayton Welsh recovered for the Saints at the Los Angeles 17-yard line. So, I mean, great job. Backup offensive line come into the game after the muff punt, so we don't even see the rest of the starters. No Penning, no nobody. On fourth and goal from the 1 yard line, this was frustrating. And this is this. I knew Kellen Moore was going to do this. I've always said I'm not a Kellen Moore fan. I didn't like when he was on the when he was hired by the Eagles. I didn't care for him during the season last year on the Eagles. I didn't care for him on the Chargers. I didn't care for him on the Cowboys. I just don't. I think he's an okay play caller, but I think with a talented team, he can be a good play call. He can be a solid play caller. With a terrible team, he can be a bad play caller. And you decide from the 1 yard line to do a shotgun handoff to Kendre Miller. It's not even like LeGarrette Blount was back there. You had Kendre Miller. Kendre Miller, I like Kendre Miller. I think he's a good running back. I really like him complementing Alvin Kamara really well. But you call a shotgun handoff. No movement on the offensive line, just a straight up shotgun handoff. Okay, that's bad play call. That's Doug Peterson-esque. I last time I saw that, Doug Peterson got fired by the Eagles. So I don't want to see that ever again. As a dumb play call. I don't understand when teams do that. You're fourth down, third down, and goal from the 1, and you decide to go into shotgun and hand the ball off to the running back, a gun run. It's just stupid. It's dumb. You're asking to just hand the ball to the other team. Yeah, that was probably the most frustrating part of the whole game. Not even the pick six that would happen later. Um, Fourth and goal from the 1 yard line. Yeah, like it's just stupid. He gave Los Angeles the ball at the 4 yard line because he lost 3 yards on the play. Saints defense forced three and out. I love the stunts on defense. They were missing that the last couple years. Dennis Allen's defense isn't known for sending too many blitzes from linebackers, but he kind of forced his hand with Demario Davis. Demario Davis is such a really good blitzing linebacker that Dennis Allen was like, fine, go ahead. Um, but a lot of pressure. I loved seeing that. Even with backups out there getting pressure. Chargers have a good offensive line. They have good backups too. So, and the Saints defensive line isn't that great. The interior defensive line is good. I think there's depth there with like Shefford, with Brian Bresee, uh, uh, Godshaw that we got from the Patriots, and Kalen Saunders. I love Kalen Saunders. Um, They got depth on the interior defensive line, but the edge rushers, that's an issue. I mean, we re-signed Chase Young for some apparent reason. Cameron Jordan, he's getting up there in age. And Carl Granderson, really like Carl Granderson. But after that, that's really it. I mean, Peyton Turner is looking like a bust. I would like to see more of him. I think he had a solid game, good game in this in this one against the Chargers. But uh, the stunts, I love seeing it. I love seeing because you have to see that with the edge rusher position being as weak as it is, you got to see these exotic blitzes. You have to because you need to help your edge rushers by doing this. So yeah, you forced the three and out against the Chargers. Um, Cam Akers saw some action at running back. Kendre Miller didn't play much, but Cam Akers came in. I really love the explosiveness that Kendre Miller brought. Um, I think it's his job to lose. I think he's the clear RB2. I think Kamara's RB1, Kendre Miller's RB2. I think they can. I think they're pretty much the same style of back. I would love to see what Kendre Miller can do with the starting offense. Rattler made a tight throw that was dropped by Jack Stoll over the middle of the field. It was a really good throw. I mean, it was a little behind Stoll, but it's right in his hands right here. You got to be able to catch that, man. I've never been a Jack Stoll fan. I didn't care for him on the Eagles. I mean, he didn't really do all that much. For some reason, the Eagles kept him. I don't know why. Um, but yeah, it was a great throw by Rattler. I think both quarterbacks made really good throws in this game. I don't think the receivers did all that well in this game. Short pass thrown by Rattler led to a three and out. It's so funny. Rattler made so many risks last year, and in this game he really didn't make any. That throw over the middle of the field that was dropped by Stoll was the biggest risk that he took. Yeah, he had a fumble. He's got to step up in the pocket, but he held on to the ball too long. He's got to just he's got to go for it. You are in a QB battle. Go for it. Do crazy things. Because I mean, I'm not expecting this team to make the playoffs, right? Um I mean, if this team won 5 or more games this year, uh that would be exciting for me. I'd be like, "All right, yeah, it's a good look." If one of these quarterbacks looks like the franchise quarterback and we win 5 games, I'll be like, "Yeah, we're good. I'm good for next year. Let's build around this." But right now, it's just like anybody's game. Do whatever you want. Make risks because if you make risks, it's like when I was watching Carson Wentz in 2016, 17. Wentz used to make so many risks and end up being the downfall of his career. Not his injuries, but his risk making. Um, because he would just do, and he would do some Houdini stuff. Um, but the Eagles needed that because they had Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, and Zach Ertz is a great tight end. One of the I would argue he's like a top 20 tight end ever. Um, but the receiving core wasn't great. It was good. It was okay. It was like mediocre. It was okay. Uh, so Wentz doing that stuff and succeeding took the team to another level. With this team, if you're playing conservative at quarterback, you're going to lose a lot of games. You need to be able to take the risks. And if you succeed in those risks, then you can win a lot more games than you should be. And if you end up making a risky throw and it doesn't go your way, you're just going to be in the same spot as you would be being conservative. I normally would not say that but with this team, I have to say that. Um, Yeah, so I think the quarterback who takes the most risks, I believe, will win this job. Both are risky quarterbacks, but in Kellen Moore's offense, you should not be turning the ball over much, and being able to complete the risky plays will give whatever quarterback it is the edge in when it's all said and done. Which this game kind of defined that. I think Rattler was the more conservative level quarterback, and he didn't really get much done. Shuck was a little bit more risky, had a bad play, follow that up with a really good play. We'll get to that later. Um, Chargers get the ball back. Saints offensive tackle Christian Boyd um, sacked Taylor Heineke right outside the end zone. It was called a safety initially, but the challenge reversed the call. Yeah, I love the pressure getting created by this defensive line, this defensive unit so far. I think it's really good. Um, I can't wait to see what this can do, especially with the young cornerback group. Being able to create pressure and put less pressure than on the corners is fantastic. Um, Charge couldn't get anything going, had the punt back in the back of their own end zone. Dante Pettis is our returner. He's not doing well. He just doesn't have the explosiveness he had in college. I mean, he's one of the greatest college return specialists of all time at Washington, I'm pretty sure. One of the greatest returners ever, and he just doesn't have that explosiveness. And I'm gonna be honest, Donovan Peoples-Jones didn't have it either later on in this game. Neither of them should be the punt returner, but I will say who our punt returner should be later on. Second quarter, on the first play of the second quarter, Caleb Murphy forced a strip sack on Spencer Rattler, and the Chargers recovered. There was just no pocket awareness from Rattler. You had a pocket to step up into, and make either run or make a throw, but he held on to the ball too long. He was being too conservative. And not only that, but the right side of the offensive line just didn't help him either. So, I mean, the offensive line sucked in this game. The backups. I mean, even some of the starters. Offensive line just struggled. The Chargers looked like they had their starters out there most of the game, and they didn't. No, the Chargers have a really well-run defense. Anytime either Harbaugh has had a team out there, they've had a good defense. Um, Chargers kicker Cameron Dicker kicked a 44-yard field goal. Seeing a lot of pursuit in the defensive backs is something I like to see. Considering this year's secondary isn't primed for great things, keeping everything in front of them is probably the best for everybody. Getting blitzes, not letting anybody pass you, just keep everything in front of you. Um, Slow and steady wins the race. That's how the Eagles operate on defense. Now they don't do many blitzes, and that's where I like this for the Saints is because they don't have the Eagles' defensive line. So you need to do those stunts and creative blitzes. And I like that with this team. And I like that for young corners. So I like seeing that. It's going to help guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry out there. Um, if Rico Payton gets some time, Alontae Taylor, it's going to help him a lot. But yeah, and I mean, Justin Reed is probably gonna be the foundational piece of this secondary. He's got to be that veteran to step up and teach these young guys some lessons. Hopefully, Jonas Sanker can step into a starting role, um, and be a good safety. I mean, he's probably gonna end up being a backup to start the year, but I'm really curious how well he's gonna play. Um, Backup offensive line, yeah, they were getting dominated the whole time by backup defensive linemen, and then they forced another Saints punt. By this point, Rattler on offense wasn't getting much done. Um, Saints had the Chargers on third and long when Rico Payton had a penalty, giving the Chargers a first down. You're going to hear that a lot with third down penalties. Rico has a lot of potential. I like him, but he's got to work on his penalties. He can't be as rough. He needs to be just keep everything in front of him. And I hope this scheme of defense works well for him because I like his ability. He had a really good preseason last year. I like what I'm seeing out of him. Just cut down on the penalties, man. Um, Another third down given up. Trey Lance ran for a first. Lance follows that up with another run for a first down. Just no spying, allowing Lance to just automatically get first once he gets past the first level. On third and goal, Trey Lance ran in 5-yard touchdown. So that's three third downs given up in that one drive that led to a touchdown. That was a huge issue last year. Third down defense. Can't be doing that this year. That was the one thing I didn't want to see was third down defense playing as bad as this. It also doesn't help. Demarco Jackson was our linebacker on the play. He's not the fastest dude in the world. He's pretty slow, and especially compared to our other linebackers, he's just too slow to keep up with Trey Lance. So he wasn't able to get him for the touchdown play. A penalty for the Saints on the extra point allows the Chargers to go for two from the 1 yard line, but the Chargers get stuffed on an unsuccessful try. Um, so by this point, Rattler in the offense was getting stalled. So Tyler Shuck comes in for Spencer Rattler with about a minute and a half left in the first half. My guess is that he was going to be playing, Rattler was going to be playing a quarter and a half. Shuck was going to be playing a quarter and a half, and then the final quarter was going to be Hayner. Shuck didn't get that much playing time, but Shuck comes in. First pass, bullet 9 yard gain. Shuck he just immediately started taking command of the offense. He started throwing, boom, 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 everywhere. He was making smart and quick passes. For some reason, Dan Fouts said he was holding on to the ball too long on the first drive, and I'm like, He's making the first read and making the throw. It's playing smart football. I don't know what Dan Fouts was even saying. Look, I'm not a Hall of Fame quarterback, but I know how to tell time. He was getting it out really fast. I don't know how much faster you could have gone. Um, but yeah, he's throwing smart passes and making them quick. He did miss a deep ball a little too far, but I like the look on his second pass. I like the look. He was a little too far. He's got to work on that. For this being his first drive, it was a good first drive. Shuck, I will say he has to be smarter with under 30 seconds left and no timeouts. He threw a pass short over the middle, and uh, that was on first down and 10. It made it second and 5, so you had to clock the ball. Then it's third and 5 with 8 seconds left. You got to be smarter about that. Again, this is preseason. This is a learning opportunity for him, but it was a solid first drive. Solid. A lot of opportunities from that. So Blake Gruby kicked a 31-yard field goal, and the Chargers led 9-3 at halftime. Um, Third quarter, Tyler Shuck on his second drive, he was a little too conservative, and the route designs were awful in this game. Route designs are awful. Wide receivers are just not getting open. I don't like this receiving core. Outside of Chris Olave's, I love Chris Olave. He just needs to stay healthy. It's not even his fault. I mean, you go look at the injuries from last year. It's like, man, he couldn't catch a break. Rashid Shaheed's coming off a torn ACL. Um, I love Rashid Shaheed. Hopefully, he's still as fast as he is. Brandon Cooks, I will always love Brandon Cooks. Brandon Cooks will always be in my heart. Um, and Velus Jones, he had a good game. I really like Velus Jones. Mason Tipton's a young guy, but I didn't think he was all that great outside of one play. But Velus Jones is going to be a creative guy in this offense. I hope he makes the team. I think he can be the team's returner. I think he did have a explosive return. He didn't get many opportunities, but they were having him in at running back, wide receiver. I thought he was a pretty important part of the offense, and I think it could just show what Taysom Hill can do in this offense. But I really liked seeing Velus Jones out there. I mean, he was every time he was touching the ball, he was explosive. Um, yeah, Shuck was a little too conservative. They went run for barely a yard, short pass for a couple yards, then Shuck gets sacked for holding on to the ball too long. So yeah, that's the first drive coming out of the third quarter wasn't a good one. Um, Third quarter, pressure forced another Chargers three and out. I love the pressure. I love seeing that. Um, Again, I've said this before with preseason, like you're not going to see a lot of these in the actual regular season, but you can see some of the foundational pieces of how the team is going to scheme into the regular season. Um, but I love seeing the pressure. I hope they continue this into the regular season. Um, Donovan Peoples-Jones starts returning punts now, and yeah, it seems like the coaches are allergic to anyone with some speed going out there and returning punts. Until Velus Jones got a return. Tyler Shuck threw an interception to cornerback Eric Rogers, who returned it 55 yards for a touchdown. 2-point conversion attempt was completed with a pass from Trey Lance to wide receiver Dele'Veon Campbell. Pass was just a bad decision. Um, it was bad decision from the jump. I understand what he was trying to do, but he needs to see the corner and see how close he is. Nor Normally the corner, I mean, I shouldn't say normally because not normally. He should have recognized where the corner was and immediately said, "No, I'm not going to force that." He's a rookie, so I'll give this to him. Um, Eric Rogers made a great play. Eric Rogers had two interceptions in this game. Um, if we're going to give a player of the game to anyone on the Chargers, it's likely Eric Rogers or Trey Lance. Um, yeah, he just jumped it, ran 54 yards for a touchdown, or ran, um, No, he ran 55 yards for a touchdown, 54 yarders coming next. So this is where Shuck did really well. He didn't see that turnover and say, man, I got, he wasn't worried. He went into the next drive, was calm, and proceeded to throw a 54-yard touchdown to Mason Tipton on a beautiful throw. I was waiting all day for a deep pass. There was way too much conservative plays from both quarterbacks. I just didn't want to see it. And then finally, he's just like, screw it, throws a 54-yard touchdown on Mason Tipton. Um, and a first deep pass, I see touchdown. I love it. Um, that was really good to see from a rookie quarterback. Not many quarterbacks are going to go out there, throw a pick six, and then follow that up and be calm enough to follow that up with a touchdown drive. So it was a great job by Tyler Shuck staying calm, cool, and collective, having that short-term memory loss to forget about that last drive. Defense continues to just play solid ball. Really only giving up 11 points at this point because of an offensive pick six. Like I've said before, Velus Jones looked really good rotating in with running back, wide receiver. As the game goes on, though, Tyler Shuck starts holding the ball on a little too long. Could be due to route separation with the receivers on the field. I mean, at this point, you're with the like third string receivers, so you kind of got to work with what you got. Route designs weren't great either, so that couldn't help him make those throws anyways. So yeah, he was holding on to the ball a little too long. He does need to work on that. If I'm gonna say anything about that, he's got to work on his decision making and holding on to the ball. He started off really good, and I think that was just the defense adjusting to this new quarterback. Um, the third string defensive unit is in the end of the third quarter. Had some of the worst tackling I've seen. Um, like there's guys who are just like tackling air at this point. And like I've seen better tackling from United Football League players. And at this point, some of these guys are UFL players. Some of these guys are rookies, undrafted rookies. And it was just awful, awful tackling. Another third down run from Trey Lance gave the Chargers a first down. Yeah, third down defense just a huge issue last year, and it doesn't look like it's any better. Fourth quarter, unlike Rattler, Shuck learns how to slide very quickly. Rattler was trying to run like he's Derrick Henry out here, like prime Emmitt Smith, trying to run over guys, and instead of sliding and protecting his body, but that's a risk taking I like from Rattler. Shuck, he knows how to slide very quickly. Ran with the ball and slid. Um, Kellen Moore last year had Jalen Hurts throwing a lot of too conservative passes, which then opened up the door for AJ Brown and Devontae Smith to have these big plays. But the Saints don't have that talent that the Eagles do. So seeing these screens and short passes are not a good look for down the road in the season. I love Olave. I love Rashid Shaheed. I love Brandon Cooks. They are not Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. I think Olave can be a really good receiver in this league, and Shaheed's one of the best deep ball players in the league. But we're talking about arguably the best receiver duo in the entire league from last year. And I mean, I don't like seeing the screen short to open up the deep passes, especially behind the line of scrimmage screens. I don't like that. If we're gonna do a screen, just do an RB screen. I like those plays, tight end screens. Saw that earlier in the game, a tight end screen. I like that look. That was something that I saw last year from the Eagles that I really liked. So if you can incorporate that with Taysom Hill, with Jawan Johnson, hopefully Taysom's back. I doubt Foster Moreau doesn't really have the speed to necessarily do that, and plus he's a great blocker, not really a great receiver. But with Jawan or Taysom, both of them can definitely do that. Um, yeah, by this point in the game, the run defense is just awful for the Saints. Nobody on the interior defensive line was doing much of anything noticeable. Um, anytime there was a short run, it was more of how bad the Chargers blocking assignments were than it was how good the Saints third string defensive line was doing. Uh, like I said earlier, Jonas Sanker is one guy I want to keep looking at right now. I think he has a potential to be a starter later in the season. He's very versatile. He could be a slot guy. He could be playing up top next to Justin Reed. I'm very curious to see how well he plays. Cameron Dicker kicked a 40-yard field goal to put the Chargers up two scores, 4 minutes 50 seconds left, and Jake Haener came in at quarterback. Haener got into the Los Angeles territory and proceeded to throw a second interception to Eric Rodgers at the Los Angeles 35-yard line. Look, when I've seen Jake Haener out there, I've never seen him and said, like, this guy's good. He should be competing for the starting job. I mean, he's a third string quarterback. I wouldn't even trust him to be a backup. I don't think you're going to win many games, if any, with Haener. Um, he doesn't even run the offense very well. So, I mean, it was a bad ball. He's athletic, so I'll give him that. That's really it. DJ Uyangale came in for Trey Lance and proceeded to throw a 51-yard pass to Le'Veon Campbell to the New Orleans 11-yard line. This was the first bad coverage play of the entire game for the defense. I mean, you're at the third string uh, defense right now. So, look, the defense I think played well up until that point. And with the backups on the field, look, I'm okay with that. DJ Uyangale, he's an experienced college quarterback. Um, so I expect him to come into the game against third string guys and make that throw. On the next play, Raheem Sanders, they call him Rocket Sanders now, ran in an 11-yard touchdown for the Chargers. Charlie Smith for the Saints. There's a kicker competition. Charlie Smith has been in with the Saints before. He's from Ireland, and he's competing with Blake Grupe. Now, Blake Grupe has had a really good 2 years. Blake Grupe has looked great. I don't think this should be a competition. I think Group B should win this outright, but Charlie Smith has been solid. Chargers won 27-13. Um, I mean, outside of the Saints, the the defense gave up what, 21 points? I think that's solid. Especially with one of the touchdowns coming late in the game with your third string. I mean, with the backups, you were allowing like 11 points in total. So I thought the defense played well. Offense is where it struggled, and that's going to be the struggle for the whole season. Um, it's going to be Alvin Kamara is probably going to be need to be the star. Kamara is going to have if if the Saints want a a good year, like if they want to be above 500 this year, one of these quarterbacks needs to step up, take the risks, and Alvin Kamara needs to probably have the best year of his career, um, which is saying a lot. Kamara, I mean, he hasn't had 1,000 yards rushing in his career, but he hasn't had a single year without 1,000 scrimmage yards. He almost had 1,000 yards rushing last year. He is constantly, he could be a wide receiver two on so many teams and an RB1 on so many teams because he can do it all. Anything you ask of Kamara, he will work for. He's a workhorse, not necessarily a workhorse running back, but he has this drive to be successful, and that is something I have a lot of respect for Alvin Kamara for. Um, if Kamara can have the best year of his career, I think there's a chance. Um, I mean, heck, there might be a chance he gets 2,000, 1,000 and 1,000 receiving, 1,000 rushing, depending on how the receiving core plays this year. Um, Olave probably needs to step up, have the best year of his career. Shaheed, if he continues that how he played at the beginning of last year and the year before, I think there's a chance he plays well. And then someone in the tight end room needs to step up, whether that's Taysom Hill being healthy, Jawan Johnson playing at a high level. I think right now Tyler Shuck has a slight advantage, mainly because both guys were not taking risks, but two times Shuck took risks. One time it ended badly, the other time it ended greatly. So right now, Tyler Shuck is my starter, very, very slightly over Rattler. And Rattler wasn't moving the ball. So, one other note, I knew Clyde Edwards-Helaire wasn't going to be this great signing, but he's really disappointing. I think Akers makes a team over him at running back three. Clyde Edwards-Helaire just, it's not that great. Cam Akers definitely was running the ball a lot better than he was. But yeah, that's really it from the game. Um, look, I don't expect great things from this team. I don't even expect this team to make the playoffs. If this team won 5 games, I would be excited. Um, I'm kind of looking into the draft next year, see if Drew Aller's available. Because Archer's going to come out the following year. I would love Drew Aller, Penn State as a Penn State fan and alumni. Um, uh, I hope Drew Aller it ends up winning the national championship for Penn State. I don't know. I don't know if he will. He needs to take a leap. We need to see that Big Ten championship Drew Aller because because I didn't really see all of that much of him after or before that. But if he takes a leap that makes me go, wow, this guy's good, then I'll be excited. Um, yeah, I'm really looking at the quarterbacks next year. But both these guys have the skill set to go out there and be successful. It's can they be successful? Can they take the risks and take over because of those risks that they're taking? Because that's what you're going to need from this team. You need risk takers. This is one of those teams that if Jameis Winston was on this team, I'd be excited because Jameis Winston is a prime example of a risk taker. So yeah, I'm not expecting this team to make the playoffs or anything. If this team was 500, I'd be showing off to everybody. If this team was 9-8, I'd be laughing at everybody because there's a lot of really good players in this team. I love Alvin Kamara. Alvin's one of my favorite running backs I've ever watched. And from a mental standpoint and just pure enjoyment, he just like I said, he since his rookie year, he's been in quarterback rooms because he just wants to continue to get better and better himself mentally. Um, and I love that from him. These receivers, Chris Olave, I love Chris. He's got to get healthy. He proved me wrong. I thought he wouldn't be that great coming out of college because he was a wide receiver too and at Ohio State. But he proved me wrong coming out the gate. He was banged up a lot last year. He's just got to stay healthy, take that leap. Um, Shaheed's a great deep threat. One of the best deep threats statistically in the league with Tyreek Hill over the last couple years. Jawan Johnson, I've been a big fan of his since Penn State. And then when he transferred to Oregon, he was a wide receiver then. Now he's a tight end, so it's great to see him come this far. Um, Taysom Hill, I hope he can stay healthy. I love seeing Taysom. Taysom, I mean, any week he could run for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. He could go and catch for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. He could go and throw for 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception with like a 50% completion percentage. I love Taysom Hill. He's such a great blocker. He's a great special teamer. Taysom Hill is an overall great player. I want to see him healthy. Hopefully, he can play this year. Offensive line, I mean, Eric McCoy is one of the best centers in the league. If anyone says otherwise, they're wrong. Eric McCoy is definitely one of the better centers in this league. He's definitely top 10. He's got an argument for top five. Um, he's the foundation of this offensive line. Uh, interior off the guards got to get some work done. You got two young tackles. I think Fuaga had a really good year last year. He's got a lot of potential. Then we have the rookie coming at left tackle. We'll see how he plays. Kelvin Banks. Um, hopefully they hopefully they're good enough to show their potential. Um, if they're great, I think it can help the guard situation out because having a top 10 center and two young tackles that are showing potential can really help out those guards in between. Especially Trevor Penning, who needs to keep his head in the game and not get into fights. Defensively, I mean, I don't know how much longer Cameron Jordan has. I loved watching Cameron Jordan ever since we drafted him. Um, he's always been a fun guy character. Um, I got his color rush jersey in my closet, and yeah, I don't know if he's gonna fit the scheme well. I don't know how much longer he has, but I'm really rooting for him to the very end. Um, Chase Young, I don't really know what to say. I didn't really want him back, but hopefully he proves me wrong and does a lot better than he did last year. But otherwise, I don't really know why we extended him. Carl Granderson, I love Carl Granderson. He shows up when we need someone the most. Interior defensive line, I really like this interior defensive line. Brian Bresee has explosiveness. He is great. He has all pro defensive tackle potential, and I think a lot of people are going to miss that. Brian Bresee looks really good. Um, I can't wait to see him as an actual starter for a full season this year. Uh, uh, Davin Godshaw. I don't really know what to expect out of him, but with Kalen Saunders, Nathan Shefford, I think that's a good interior defensive line. Linebackers, Demario Davis is just the heartbeat. I mean, this dude gets people amped up. When Drew Brees retired, this guy was the guy taking over the huddles, and I loved it ever since then. This guy's a baller. He's one of the best linebackers in the league. Pete Warner, he's an underrated dude. Great coverage linebacker. Um, I love seeing him and Demario work day in, day out. Cornerbacks, they're a young group. Um, Hopefully they step up. That's really all I can help with. Seeing Tyrann Mathieu retire this late was hard to watch, especially the same day that Jimmy Graham decided to retire officially. Um, but we signed Justin Reed. I mean, I said it during the off season prep that if we can get a safety next to Tyrann Mathieu, I'll be happy. And we did. We got Justin Reed. Justin Reed's awesome. But now we're now we're in the same safety situation that the Chiefs were when Tyrann left the Chiefs. Justin Reed goes to the Chiefs, takes over for Tyrann, and then now he's coming here going to take over for Tyrann. So hopefully Justin Reed plays as good as he did with the Chiefs. I don't need him to be this all pro safety. I just need him to be a good safety. I mean, if he's an all pro safety, that's great. But teach these young corners. That's what I'm looking for. Um, and then yeah, we're in a kicker and punter battle. The Australian punter, I don't remember his name, but dude was forcing a lot of um muffed punts. So that's something to keep an eye on. If that continues in the next couple weeks, I'll have to make a note about that to talk more about him. But yeah, kicker situation. I mean, I'm in my opinion, Blake Grupe is the kicker, but I think Charlie Smith's good. But Grupe has proven that he needs to be the starter. So look, I don't have high expectations for this team. I don't even have good expectations for the team. If this team wins 5 games, I'll be happy. Um, yeah. If we don't finish last in division, I'm gonna be laughing at whoever's last in the division. Um, you can bank on that. So, with that being said, I will see you next week for next week's Saints recap. I will try my best. I'm getting the negativity out with the first episode. Um, I'm gonna try and be a little bit more positive down the stretch for a lot of these games. I'm looking at the good. I always look at the bad to see how can we improve. Um, but yeah, it was a loss. It's a preseason loss though. Doesn't really matter. Chargers also played in the Hall of Fame game, so they had guys who they know what their guys are doing. We're still trying to figure things out. But hey, that's what a rebuild is. We're in a rebuild right now, trying to figure things out, and yeah, let's just have a fun season. We don't even. It doesn't need to be a bad season. It doesn't need to be a Super Bowl winning season. Just go out there and have some fun. Throw some risky balls. That's all you need to do. So, with that being said, see y'all next week. Go Saints.